time for round 2 of the 1990 Dodge Ram Charger, and there's so many broken things, the list just keeps adding up. Let's get started. So you guys just recently saw a video on this 1990 Dodge Ram Charger that I actually traded Mrs. Wizard's BMW Z3 for. And just like so many times in the past, and this is videos for you guys that you're out there contemplating buying a vehicle that doesn't run and you're going to get it running again. Once you get it running, like we've done, now you get to see the other half of the story when you actually go road test it. And there's tons of things broken on this thing. It's a lot. We're going to show you what we found so far, and the list just keeps growing every time I access a panel or take something off. It's like, oh, I guess I got to get that ordered. I got to get this ordered. It's all little stuff, but it adds up pretty fast. One of the first things I did is the driver's headlight was completely burned out. Neither high or low beam would work. And the other side was dim. Now it has some Sylvania Silver Star, which is pretty bright white. And they work great. Many people try to do the LED bulbs that fit in these square rectangle housings that have all the little bulbs lined up inside of it, and I think they're hideous. They look absolutely disgusting that way. To me, to keep the car classic and to look like it did back in 1990, I'm a stickler for having glass original bulbs in the front. So I'll turn the headlights on and you can let me know what you think. Another thing I don't like about converting to HID or LED bulbs in a setting that originally had halogens is we've all been on the highway late at night cruising and somebody comes over the hill and they've got converted HID into something that should have never had them. And it's like you get a headache. It's so bright. It's blinding. And I don't want to do that to people. It's disrespectful and rude. So these are bright enough, and they're actually more white light than a standard incandescent version or halogen. These are very, very nice. I like the Silver Stars. Another thing you may have noticed a minute ago is the dome lights are on, and these old trucks, any of these old trucks, they get the switches or the hinges and things that get corroded or rusty over time that you have to slam the doors. That's basically what I had to do there. It's an easy fix. I just need to lube up the hinges and everything, and that'll be an issue that's solved. Lately we've been getting some complex and hard to diagnose cars in the shop. You've really got to be on your game to focus on the problems and find the right answer. One way I've found that helps me keep my mind on track during the day is simply to get a great night's sleep. You guys that have followed me for a while know that I've had surgery about a year ago to correct sleep apnea. The surgery was a success, but only fixed part of my sleeping issues. Today's sponsor, Dream, has fixed the falling and staying asleep problem that I've still struggled with. Luckily for you, they are having a huge, up to 50% off early Black Friday sale on their products. I've always struggled to shut off my brain at night and fall asleep on my own. I've tried other products that promised great results, but they usually left me feeling groggy in the morning, or worse, I'd wake up in the middle of the night and couldn't go back to sleep. With Dream, I get to have a nice cup of hot chocolate before bed that has natural, high-quality sleep-supportive ingredients that helps me fall and stay asleep. I personally like their cinnamon cocoa flavor, but they have so many other great flavors to choose from too. Dream costs less than a cup of coffee, and they even have special holiday flavors to help you tackle the stressors of your endless to-do lists, overindulgent meals, and parties or house guests that interrupt your normal routine. If you struggle to get truly restful sleep, you've got to try Dream. Treat yourself to an early Christmas present and shop early access to Beam's Cyber Sale when you click the link below or scan my QR code and get up to 50% off site-wide. Don't miss out on this limited time offer, no code needed. Now back to today's Ram Charger. Another thing, we mentioned the funny Jetson tires in the previous video. I've never even heard of Jetson tires, but they got full tread on them. They're like brand new tires and they're trash. All 4 of them. Let's get this thing up in the air. I want to show you guys the fuel tank and also what we found with these tires. I have no idea how old these tires are. We never could find a date code, but it doesn't matter because they're ruined. And it's sad because the tread is like brand new. It's thick. It still has some of the little nipples on them. And they're going to go in the trash. They're unsafe. Number 1 is you can literally see it's splitting right at the bead. I actually kind of poked around and Junior ran off. He's like, no, don't do that. It's going to blow up. But yeah, those are about to split. And secondly, like I mentioned, this thing's set for a long time. Whatever happened, whatever the story was, this thing was parked with the new tires and it didn't move for many, many years. The flat spots are so bad. Let me show you kind of a focus on the side. I'm going to spin the tire and you can actually see it go by as it spins. Look at that white paper in the background, guys. You can see it whoop, whoop, whoop. So as you can imagine, when you're going down the road, this thing is just bouncing like an apple cart. It's terrible. These tires are trash. So I'm going to have to get all 4 new tires. Let's go check out the fuel tank. So the fuel lines are actually steel lines. They go along the frame right here where I have my hand. There's a return line, a fuel line, and an evap vent line that all goes to the side, over to the side of the tank. This thing has a massive fuel tank. I don't know if it was 25 or 30 gallons. It's pretty big. And it's plastic, luckily, so it's not going to rust. But we had to lower it down and get to those lines that were on top. And when we did, Junior Man actually got shot pressure going the reverse direction in the return line, and something shot out and it hit the roof and down the wall. It was ping, pow, pow, pow. We don't know what it was. We can't find it. But it cleared it out, and now it works fine. It works great. So there are cases out there. I mean, there's tons of work that still needs to be done to this vehicle, but I got it running for no money. It's just the work involved, the time to figure out what's wrong, drop the tank, clear out the line. I didn't have to go buy any parts to get it running. So remember that sometimes when you have a non-running vehicle, there may be an issue at hand that requires no parts. So that means stop dumping parts into it, doing the parts cannon, and say, well, let's try that, let's try that. Maybe it needs none of those things. The brakes, when I went on a road test, a little spring broke and I could hear it inside the drum. Cling, 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 cling. We took the drum off and a piece of a spring fell out. We also saw that the wheel cylinders have a little bit of fluid coming out of them, so it's going to get new wheel cylinders, new hardware, new shoes. The drums are going to get resurfaced. Drum brakes do last a long time, especially the rear ones, because they only do like 30% of the braking. Although these still got a lot of life left in them as far as thickness, they're just old. And I've seen where the actual friction material can break loose from the actual shoe and just fall apart. But here we can see the actual Chrysler emblem. We believe these are original from 1990. So this big boy needed some new shoes, and so it's getting some new brake shoes. Also, the muffler had a hole in it. I just put a glass pack and it sounds really, really good. Let's go ahead and check out the rest of the underneath of the vehicle.
Well, Wizard, your Ram Charger has a ball like your Citroen.
It does have one ball, and it's just a vacuum reservoir to run the four-wheel drive system. It's pretty much all it's used for. It has all of these mud dauber nests. We find them all over the place. That's another telltale sign when you're looking at a vehicle that's been sitting a long time, is when there's wasp nests or things like that that are crusted all over parts. Our transfer case is nice and dry, not leaking. The four-wheel drive actually works. You can see that the transmission mounts are kind of crushed. It's going to need new little donuts there. This is our A518 or 46RH transmission. It works perfectly. There's nothing wrong with it, so probably just a fluid service and call it good. Amazingly, nothing is leaking under here. Rear main seal, transmission seals, everything is pretty much leak-free. Here's our front axle. You can see all the vacuum lines. It is vacuum actuated. It slides a little lever inside of there. And I tried it out. It actually worked amazingly. And look, Mrs. Wizard, this shaft has protection.
Wow, it doesn't look like it's protecting much. It's looking a little crusty and cracked and gross.
Yeah, it's not doing anything right now because the four-wheel drive hasn't been actuated, so it's disconnected. What I like about everything under here is that it's pretty much stock. It's not been hacked up, it's not been cut, it's not been welded, it doesn't have lift kits and strange aftermarket springs and everything. It's pretty much stock the way it came when it was brand new. Like I said, no huge leaks, no radiator leaks, no serious issues. I can't complain at all, but there's still tons of broken things on the top side. Let's get this thing back on the ground. So I'll go ahead and start the engine one more time and let you guys hear it run on its own without any modifications, and I'll try out the AC. So as you can hear, it runs fine, it runs great, as opposed to the way it did when I bought it. It's no longer a non-running vehicle. It runs on its own power without any modifications. I did try the AC, and as you may notice, the compressor wasn't doing anything. And it did, the blower turned on and blew crap and dust all over me. Kind of gross. But the AC is not turning on.
And I don't think your speakers are going to be doing much good attached to the post.
No. I'll show you guys the interior here in a minute. Let's do one last pan of the engine bay. Before we dive into the interior, here's the compressor. And it's not locked up. It either has a leak somewhere, or we did try to evacuate the system. There's nothing in it, so it very likely is, in fact, a leak. I don't need to do a whole lot under the hood. I may do some services and things, but it runs fine. But I did take it on a road test, and I was very unimpressed. It is severely underpowered. And I did some reading on it and some of the Ramcharger forums and things, and that's just typically how these engines run. Even when they were brand new, people complained. 150 horsepower, 160 is just not enough to move this big beast around. So I guess it is what it is. There's not much you can do about it. Let's head on into the interior. So as you can see, we have the door panel off, all the wiring and everything. And the speaker that Mrs. Wizard was talking about, if I can grab it here, has zero paper in it. There's nothing. It's just a metal frame. I wondered why that channel didn't work when I turned on the radio. That particular speaker didn't work. Now I know why. The actual window motor was bad on this side. It's starting to fail on the other one. It's a very common issue. Let's head to the tailgate. I have actually one of the gear motors back there apart. I want to show you what failed.
Oh, wait. Wizard, be careful. Those hatch struts could kill you. They're broken.
Oh, they've actually been replaced.
Oh, thank God.
So it can receive its full size. I'll show you. On its own even.
Whoa.
This is all fiberglass, guys. This entire frame, all of this. There's nothing metal about it. It's all fiberglass so that it's not so heavy on those struts. I didn't know that until I was kind of looking around and I was like, that's not even metal. So very interesting. But anyways, we have the window out. We have the actual motor here. This is the window motor. The motor itself still works, but on the inside, which is a common Chrysler and even Chevy used this technology back then, for safety reasons, on the back side of this gear, they have 3 little rollers, which should fit into the points of this triangle. 3 little plastic rollers. And as you can see, this is what's left of those rollers. You can just replace the rollers. It's a very common, easy fix. But I was actually surprised. I went to Amazon. I said, okay, I'll get a roller kit. It was like $30 for a roller kit. For $32, $2 more, they had an entire updated motor with a stronger motor, the entire assembly. It's like, why bother? Why bother messing with this old one? So it's going to get all new motors. There's literally almost no cost difference. And we'll go back to the driver's area again. Be careful, Mrs. Wizard. Junior Mint's been back here having fun. He's got all this all apart.
He does seem to like to put things in all sorts of places around him.
Yep. Where he sits and he works is where all of his stuff is at. But he does good work. So the seat right here, not only is it torn, but the cushion is just gone. So I also noticed the entire framework rocks. So I'll tackle the framework, and I got a hold of the upholstery guy. He's closed to the public, but he still does a little bit for me and Hoovie. So I'm going to have the headliner redone and also just this seat redone. The other seats are fine. And slowly we're going to work through all these things and get this to be a good running and nice looking Ramcharger. The sequence of events that should happen when you find one of these old vehicles that non-running that need to be fixed up, I've seen so many people do it backwards. They start with the little things because that's all they have the money for right now. So they're like, you know, the engine's not running, I'll deal with that later. But until then, I'll go ahead and put a new stereo in it. I'll get the upholstery done, I'll get all this stuff replaced, put some new tires on it, and then they find out the engine's shelled out. And they're like, oh crap, I just wasted all that money. Get the engine situation solved first. If you can't afford to, just wait, hold off, save up some money until you get to that point, until you can figure out what's wrong with the engine. Do not put a bunch of money into the rest of the vehicle until you have figured out what is wrong with the main part of this car, the engine. So that you can go to step 2, which is a road test to see how does it drive, how do the brakes work, does it shift through all the gears, does it have any leaks, does the cruise control work. All those things cannot be really found out until you get past step 1, get the engine fixed. After you've got all that figured up, then you can start fixing up all the little details and interior and paint and all those things. So that's how the process should work, not the other way around or backwards. So if you're curious what kind of tools we're using to fix this old Ramcharger up or any of the cars in the shop, check our Amazon affiliates link in the description below. We get a small cut. If you purchase anything there, we really appreciate it. All the tools we use in the shop are listed for sale there. And there's going to be many more videos on the Ramcharger as we continue to fix it up and get this thing roadworthy. I think it's going to be a really sweet vehicle once it's done. Make sure to hit the subscribe button before you go, and thanks for watching.